Students are ಮುಂದೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ.
ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್
19 ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. Good morning, students. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, all of you can hear and the screen is also visible.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Right. So actually hemoglobin metabolism was expected before IA and we have started with chemistry of hemoglobin also. And that time again the metabolism part started, but I think some class bunk and all. So this part was remaining, right? So with hemoglobin synthesis, that is synthesis of heme, it is covered, but the disorder related to heme synthesis and heme degradation and jaundice was remaining. But again, jaundice we have covered under the tutorial, right? So the remaining part of this will start today, we'll see today. So in that we'll start with porphyria. In between only I'll again revise the heme synthesis because it is related to heme synthesis only. So it will be also covered, heme degradation will be covered, right? So in that way we'll cover the hemoglobin metabolism. Okay, so little bit concentrate. Again remember, this is one of the important question which will be asked under hemoglobin metabolism chapter. Okay, hope all of you are done well. I think in MCQ, no any query or doubt regarding that MCQ, right? So we'll start with the porphyria. Porphyrias are the metabolic disorders of heme synthesis. These are the disorders of heme synthesis which are characterized by increased excretion of either porphyrin or the precursor of the porphyrin, along with sometimes excretion of aligned PBG in some porphyria, right? So it is characterized by increased excretion of porphyrins, porphyrin precursors such as aligned PBG, right? And this is due to either inheritance from the parents or due to the environmental factors, which for that the cause is mainly due to the enzyme deficiency, right? So where it will affect? Mainly the neurological symptoms, right? So neuropsychological symptoms, it may affect the skin. So these symptoms we observe, or it will affect on these organs. So the characteristic features or the clinical conditions associated with this we can observe in porphyria. So mainly it is characterized by abdominal pain and certain neuropsychiatric symptoms. Most of the porphyrias are often inherited from a parent, but sometimes the environmental factors may initiate the disease, right? Such as either you might be taking some tablets, some medication, you might be a smoker, you might be an alcoholic, so that it will induce the free radical damage and increase in reactive oxygen species. So in that way, either it may be the inherited from a parent or the environmental factor that may initiate the disease. So most of the times it will be the autosomal dominant trait, while as in congenital erythropoietic, it is a autosomal recessive one, right? Exception is congenital erythropoietic porphyria. It is one of the type of the porphyria, and which one is autosomal recessive. But many of the porphyrias, it is a autosomal dominant trait. So we'll see what are the types, how they are classified, how they can be differentiated from each other, okay, afterwards. So before that, why the defect is? The gene defect cause one or more of the enzymes involved in the process of converting porphyrins to heme that will be the abnormal. So why this process becomes abnormal, that is conversion of porphyrin to heme, is due to the gene defect that will lead to one or more enzyme deficiency, which the enzymes involved in conversion of porphyrin to heme. In specific environments, the brain triggers the body to make more heme, overwhelming the enzyme and triggers the disease. So due to the environmental factors or the other factors which causes, such as I told, alcohol, smoking, different drugs such as barbiturates or the hypertensive drugs or the steroidal hormones, right? So different drugs which you are taking as a certain other disorders as a treatment part, and also the excessive fasting that may lead or that may trigger to defect of this heme catabolism, right? So heme synthesis, sorry. So porphyria, roughly it is classified into two. One is inherited and another one is the acquired one, acquired due to some other disorder. So either it is inherited or it can be classified as acquired porphyria. But other than this, it can be classified more precisely depending upon the tissue origin, depending upon the tissue origin. So which one from hepatic, that is in liver, is mainly it will be the acute one. So acute or hepatic porphyria, and erythropoietic mainly in the bone marrow. So in that way, porphyria is classified as per the tissue origin, that is from the liver, that is acute porphyria, and from the bone marrow it is erythropoietic porphyria. Again, this acute and erythropoietic, it will have different types. So erythropoietic porphyria, hepatic can be acute or chronic also, right? And it is caused by hereditary or acquired defects in heme synthesis. The genetic defect mainly due to the enzymes which are involved in the heme synthesis, and other causes such as liver dysfunction and lead poisoning that will also affect the heme synthesis. That means it will affect the enzymes which are involved in heme synthesis, right? So this is the major defect. So 85% of hemoglobin is synthesized in bone marrow. 85% of hemoglobin, it is synthesized in bone marrow and liver, and it takes place mainly in the cytochromes. And in liver or bone marrow, where it will take place? Partly in mitochondria and partly in the cytoplasm. The first step of heme synthesis and the last three steps of heme synthesis takes place in mitochondria, while as the in-between step, that is second to and before the last three, it takes place in cytoplasm. So the enzymes which are present in mitochondria and the enzymes which are present in cytoplasm, they are involved in synthesis. So it starts in mitochondria, that is the first step, formation of delta LR, and that the substrate required for that is succinyl-CoA and glycine. So this will undergo condensation reaction. Succinyl-CoA you will get from TCA cycle, and glycine is the amino acid, aliphatic amino acid, simple amino acid, right? So glycine and succinyl-CoA gets condensed to form delta Ella in presence of the enzyme delta Ella synthase. So it will form the alpha amino beta ketoadipate intermediate, and then it will form the delta amino levulinic acid. Ella is nothing but amino levulinic acid. So delta amino levulinic acid. It is formed from succinyl-CoA and glycine in presence of the enzyme delta Ella synthase. This is the first reaction which takes place in the mitochondria. Here I'll show the heme synthesis, which is already covered. That is glycine and succinyl-CoA combines. So condensation reaction in presence of the enzyme delta Ella synthase, which is pyridoxal phosphate dependent, and it will form delta Ella. So delta Ella then further form porphobilinogen, hydroxymethylbilane, then uroporphyrinogen 3 and uroporphyrinogen 1, and further coproporphyrinogen. Up to this, it takes place in the cytoplasm. From coproporphyrinogen to protoporphyrinogen 3, it takes place in mitochondria, and protoporphyrinogen to protoporphyrin, and then heme. It takes place in mitochondria. So in that way, the first step, glycine succinyl-CoA to delta Ella, it takes place in mitochondria, and the last three steps, that is from coproporphyrinogen 3 to protoporphyrinogen 3 to protoporphyrin 3 to heme. This takes place in mitochondria, while as the in-between steps, it takes place in the cytoplasm. So this pathway is already covered. Still, I am revising. Why? Because these are the enzymes: uroporphyrinogen 3 co-synthase, uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase, coproporphyrinogen oxidase, ferrochelatase, delta Ella synthase. So deficiency or the defect in the gene that will lead to porphyria. It will block the heme synthesis. So it will lead to porphyria. That's why I am showing this slide again. In between also, I'll explain why the PBG level increases or it gets accumulated because this enzyme will be deficient and all. So that is needed. That's why this is a brief revision of heme synthesis and the enzymes which are involved in between the formation of heme that is defective. So the heme synthesis is blocked and it will lead to forming increased excretion of porphyrins and the precursors such as PBG and Ella, and thus it will lead to different types of porphyria. Okay. So this is the first reaction which takes place in the mitochondria, and these three reactions which I have explained it again, that is oxidation of protoporphyrinogen 3 to protoporphyrin 3 in presence of the enzyme protoporphyrinogen oxidase. Then iron get incorporated into that in presence of the enzyme ferrochelatase, which is also called as heme synthase, and formation of heme in presence of the enzyme ferrochelatase. So in that way, these three and this first step that takes place in mitochondria, while as delta Ella to porphobilinogen in presence of the enzyme aldehydatase, porphobilinogen to hydroxymethylbilane in presence of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. This hydroxymethylbilane bifurcated into uroporphyrinogen 3 and uroporphyrinogen 1. This uroporphyrinogen 3 further forms coproporphyrinogen 3 in presence of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase. So deficiency of this porphyrinogen 1 synthase, 3 co-synthase and decarboxylase, it will lead to different types of porphyria that we'll see in next slide. So depending upon the tissue origin, the porphyrias are divided as acute that which takes place in liver, that is hepatic porphyria, and which takes place in bone marrow, those are erythropoietic porphyria. So which comes under hepatic porphyria are acute intermittent porphyria, hereditary coproporphyria, variegate porphyria, and porphyria cutanea tarda. So which are the hepatic porphyria? Acute intermittent porphyria, hereditary coproporphyria, variegate porphyria, porphyria cutanea tarda. These are the four porphyria which occurs in liver. So those comes under hepatic porphyria, which are also called as acute porphyria. Then congenital erythropoietic porphyria and erythropoietic protoporphyria. Congenital erythropoietic porphyria and erythropoietic protoporphyria. These are the of which occurs in bone marrow, and they are called as erythropoietic porphyria. So these four are major types of hepatic porphyria, and these two are erythropoietic porphyria. Other than that, due to lead poisoning also, plumboporphyria it is called. So because plumbo, it is a Latin word or a Greek word derived from that is lead, which is denoted as Pb, and plumbum, it is derived from the word plumbum. So that we'll see later. But these are the six major types, that is hepatic porphyria and erythropoietic porphyria. What is the cause for that, and how you can bifurcate it, and with the help of signs and symptoms, how you can explain it. When the mutation takes place in the DNA, which will, because the gene expression which expresses the proteins, that is the enzymes which are proteins. So due to mutation in DNA, there will be the enzyme defect involved in heme synthesis. So abnormalities of the enzyme, that means the enzyme defect in the heme synthesis. So enzyme deficiency in heme synthesis, why it takes place is due to mutation in DNA. And due to that, accumulation of aminolevulinic acid and porphobilinogen, that is ALA and PBG, or decrease in heme cells and body fluids. And this will lead to neuropsychiatric signs and symptoms. This is one part. And when accumulation of porphyrinogens or porphyrins in the skins and tissues takes place, it will lead to spontaneous oxidation of porphyrinogens to porphyrins. So this oxidation mainly due to that lipid peroxidation of these ROS takes place, and it is mainly responsible for photosensitivity. So spontaneous oxidation of porphyrinogens to porphyrins, and that is the main cause of photosensitivity. So either photosensitivity or neuropsychiatric, or sometimes both. And such type, when both types of symptoms takes place, it is called as a mixed type of porphyria. Hepatic, erythropoietic, and mixed type of porphyria. But major one are hepatic and erythropoietic porphyria. So, which is the biochemical cause? Why it will show these neuropsychiatric signs and symptoms or the photosensitivity? What is the cause behind these symptoms which we observe in different types of porphyria? Is either accumulation of the precursors, porphyrin precursors, or the accumulation of porphyrins, right? When the precursors mainly get accumulated, it will show the neuropsychological symptoms. When the porphyrins get accumulated, photosensitivity is the major sign and symptom which is observed in these types of porphyria. So we'll see in which type of porphyria the neuropsychiatric symptoms only occur due to accumulation of ALA and PBG, while as in which type photosensitivity occurs due to accumulation of porphyrins. So we'll see in these different types of porphyria one by one. So the first one is acute intermittent porphyria, where this accumulation of ALA and PBG takes place, leading to neuropsychiatric symptoms, right? So acute intermittent porphyria. The name itself indicates that the symptoms which are observed is intermittently. The symptoms which are observed in such type of porphyria occurs intermittently. That's why the name is given as acute intermittent porphyria. And what is the defect or cause is deficiency of uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. It is also called as hydroxymethylbilane synthase. So where it takes place is here, hydroxymethylbilane synthase, that is uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. If this enzyme is deficient, it will block this reaction. So accumulation of ALA and PBG. Accumulation of ALA and PBG takes place due to deficiency of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. Yes, any doubt? Unmute, or if any doubt, then and then only you can unmute. Mute your mic, or if you have doubt, then only you unmute it. Any doubt? Any doubts? Okay, I'll summarize at that time also. You can ask if any doubt. Okay. So uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase, which is also called as hydroxymethylbilane synthase, because hydroxymethylbilane is formed from this PBG, right? So, that enzyme deficiency, uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase or hydroxymethylbilane synthase, the PBG and ALA gets accumulated. Its level will be increased. Concentration of PBG and ALA increases, and so it gets accumulated in the body. It is autosomal dominant type of disorder, which is common type of porphyria. Among these six, this one is the common, and one more is common. We'll see one by one. So autosomal dominant and commonest type of porphyria. So 2 individuals in 1 lakh population will suffer from this type of porphyria, right? What are the symptoms? As I told, the symptoms are observed intermittently. The urine first, when freshly voided, at that time it will be colorless. The freshly voided urine, it will be colorless, but it becomes darker, or it becomes dark colored or darkens when it is exposed to air. What happens when it is exposed to air? That means the oxidation takes place. Oxidation of this porphyrin takes place, and thus it becomes dark colored. And the symptoms observed are abdominal pain with bouts of vomiting, so gastrointestinal symptoms. Along with that, neuropsychiatric features without photosensitivity. Photosensitivity will not be seen. In earlier slide I have shown. So accumulation of ALA and PBG, neuropsychiatric signs, while as no photosensitivity. So without photosensitivity.
ఒకసారి చదువుకునే వాళ్ళకి ఇచ్చినప్పుడు నాకు చిరాకు పెట్టాను చదువుకుంటా.
Students, you mute no.
చదువుకోవాలి కూర్చున్నప్పుడు నాకు చిరాకు పెట్టేంత వరకు కూర్చుంటా చదువుకునే.
కూర్చుంటే కాల్ వస్తుంది.
I don't want your parents' conversation.
ఇద్దరు వస్తుంది.
Please mute your voice, Mike.
మీ అట్లా పడతా.
Women of reproductive age are mainly they are what we can say is they are more prone. Why? Because they will be taking the oral contraceptive pills. So these are the factors which can affect also. So other factors such as anticonvulsants, the drugs such as anticonvulsants, barbiturates, and if the person is taking ethanol. So these are the precipitating factors that can, other than this enzyme deficiency, these factors can also precipitate to cause the acute intermittent porphyria. So which factors, such as the woman taking OC pills, because in this reproductive age, the hormones mainly which are responsible, and then anticonvulsants, then barbiturates, ethanol consumption. So these are the factors which can trigger this acute intermittent porphyria. So what is the treatment for that is hematine can be administered, administration of hematine, so that it will inhibit the ALA synthase enzyme. So delta ALA synthase enzyme is inhibited means there is no formation of ALA, right? So no formation of PBG further, and thus it will inhibit that. Other than that, glucose as a supportive therapy, glucose can be administered so that there will not be the gastrointestinal or neuropsychiatric features. So here you can see the neuropsychiatric problem, CVS arrhythmia, abdominal pain and colic pain. These people suffered in 1870 to 1820. This picture I have shown. So you can see later also the pictures, many more on the Google. Then variegate porphyria, deficiency of protoporphyrin oxidase. Protoporphyrin oxidase, here you can see where it takes place. Protoporphyrin 3 to protoporphyrin 3. Protoporphyrin 3 to protoporphyrin 3 in presence of the enzyme protoporphyrin oxidase. If this enzyme is deficient, this further step will not take place. So it will accumulate increased level of this protoporphyrin 3, coproporphyrin 3, uroporphyrin 3 also. So these all levels will be increased, right? So due to the deficiency of the protoporphyrin oxidase, what will happen? Increased excretion of coproporphyrins, protoporphyrins and uroporphyrins, other than the factor ALA and porphobilinogen, that is PBG. Its level will be increased, so its excretion will be more in urine as well as in feces. Then it is again autosomal dominant type, but this type of porphyria occurs very rare. Acute intermittent porphyria itself 2 in 1 lakh population. So variegate porphyria is still rare than that. And what are the symptoms? Is photosensitivity is the major, most abundant symptom which is observed in variegate porphyria. Along with that, abdominal pain and neuropsychiatric disorder takes place. That's why it is also called as mixed type, neuropsychiatric as well as the abdominal pain. So it is a mixed type of porphyria. So here you can see the photosensitivity, how it occurs on the legs as well as on the face. Then the third type is Porphyria cutanea tarda. Porphyria cutanea tarda. Due to the deficiency of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase. Deficiency of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase. Where decarboxylase, that is conversion of uroporphyrinogen 3 to coproporphyrinogen 3, removal of CO2, decarboxylase. So uroporphyrinogen 3 to coproporphyrinogen 3, this step is blocked due to the deficiency of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen decarboxylase. again autosomal dominant, and again this is also most common type of porphyria along with acute intermittent porphyria. Acute intermittent porphyria is most common. Along with that, porphyria cutanea tarda, that is also the most common type of porphyria, while as variegate porphyria is very rare type of porphyria. So what are the symptoms? Photosensitivity, chronic blisters and crusting on the skin. Photosensitivity, chronic blisters and crusting on the skin, mainly the skin disorders. So what are the precipitating factors for this is if iron is taken more, that is iron overload, and if iron overload, again it will be a cannot be utilized there, further forming heme. Right? Then smoking, alcoholism, HIV infection, etc. These factors can also cause or it can trigger porphyria cutanea tarda. What is the treatment? Avoid these, that is smoking, alcoholic and excess iron. Excess iron that should be avoided. Then phlebotomy. Phlebotomy, vein puncture while collecting the blood sample. Mainly we collect the vein puncture. So phlebotomy. Then low dose of chloroquine to remove excess porphyrins from the blood. That means from the liver. From liver it will portal when it enters in the blood. So avoid these factors, that is iron, smoking and alcoholic, other than more and more or often puncturing, vein puncture, that is phlebotomy, that should be avoided. Then low dose of chloroquine should be given to remove the excess porphyrins. Phlebotomy, then low dose of chloroquine to remove the excess porphyrins from the blood. That is the treatment part. So these are the, here you can see the blister which become ulcerated when it is exposed to sunlight. Right? You can see this blister and it becomes ulcerative when it is exposed to sunlight. So the next type, fourth type is congenital erythropoietic porphyria. Congenital. So it means it is an autosomal recessive type, right? So it is autosomal recessive, and again it is still rarest but most severe type. Congenital erythropoietic porphyria, it is rarest but most severe type of the porphyria. The deficiency is uroporphyrinogen co-synthase, that is the uroporphyrinogen 3 to hydroxymethyl bilen to uroporphyrinogen 3 in presence of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 3 co-synthase. Right? So hydroxymethyl bilen, which is from PBG, which further forms the uroporphyrinogen, first porphyrinogen, and that takes place in presence of the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 3 co-synthase. When this enzyme is deficient, increased level of uroporphyrin level takes place, and due to that, the color of the urine will be reddish, pinkish red colored urine due to excretion of porphyrin in the urine, and in that way we can identify this type. The symptoms which are observed is skin lesions at the early stage, blisters on the skin, repeated ulceration and scarring. Repeated ulcerations and scarring, and the skin lesions are observed in the early stage, very early stage. So how we can characterize is the color of the urine, and the uroporphyrin 1 and coproporphyrin 1 levels are increased, along with coproporphyrin 1 in feces, along with increased level of coproporphyrin in feces. Right? What is the treatment? As it is mainly related to skin, so sunscreen should be applied, and again protective clothes can be used so that we can avoid the skin lesions or blistering of the skin. Right? So this is about, you can see here, scaring, sometimes dermatitis, which will further lead, right? Then the next type is protoporphyria. So congenital erythropoietic porphyria that takes place in bone marrow, and this is the second one, that is erythropoietic protoporphyria, that will also takes place in bone marrow. The rest all takes place in liver, due the enzyme defect in the liver, right? The cause is that. So deficiency of ferrochelatase enzyme. Ferrochelatase enzyme. Here you can see ferrochelatase enzyme. Protoporphyrin 3 to heme. Protoporphyrin 3 to heme. That is the last step of heme synthesis. If that enzyme is deficient, it will be mainly responsible for the skin, reddish colored skin, or pitted appearance on the skin. It will be itching. Itching will be there, swelling will be there, and it is painful also, right? Itching, swelling, pitty patches, so it will be painful, the skin will be. Along with that, mild photosensitivity, very mild photosensitivity can be also seen in protoporphyria. And so it is also called as protoporphyria, erythropoietic protoporphyria. And when in the liver it takes place, it is called as erythropoietic protoporphyria. So it is can cover under mixed type also. So mostly affected areas are lips, nose and cheeks. Increased level of protoporphyrin in erythrocytes, plasma, bile as well as in feces. So the last step of heme synthesis, conversion of protoporphyrin to heme. So that stage is blocked. So the level of protoporphyrin increases abundantly. It increases in erythrocytes also, plasma also, bile also, as well as in the faces. What is the treatment? Avoid exposure to the sunlight, obviously, and all of you know that beta carotene, it is one of the best antioxidant which can prevent the lipid peroxidation and thus damage from the reactive oxygen species, UV light and all, and thus it helps to reduce the photosensitivity. It helps to reduce the photosensitivity. So here you can see that the light sensitivity which can be observed, along with that red and pitted skin, pitted patches on the skin, red color, and it will be itching. Swelling will be also there, you can observe here, right? And again, obviously, it is painful. So in that way, these are the different types of porphyria: acute interporphyria, congenital acute intermittent porphyria, porphyria cutanea tarda, hereditary coproporphyria, variegate porphyria. These are hepatic one, right? And congenital erythropoietic porphyria, and which one? Protoporphyria, right? Erythropoietic protoporphyria. These are which occur in bone marrow. Here in this, if you prepare a table, with this table you can write in detail about all the porphyrias. So heme synthesis, and add a note on porphyria. It can be asked as a long essay question. So if you write this table also, if you are not able to explain more, we'll come to know that you have understood properly what enzyme defect is there, what symptoms are seen. So you will get good marks if you prepare a table like this. Right? So other than that, one more part which I have not explained there, that is plumboporphyria, At the beginning only I told you that this porphyria occurs mainly due to the lead poisoning. What is the reason behind that is the enzyme, that is ALA dehydratase enzyme. So this inhibition of this ALA dehydratase, which is earlier it was called as ALA dehydratase, but now most of the times we call it as porphobilinogen synthase, the first step, ALA and PPG combined. So this inhibition of this enzyme, it will lead to the lead poisoning, because this enzyme is necessary for metabolism of lead. So as this enzyme is deficient, the lead level in the body will be increased. So it will lead to lead poisoning. So plumbum, that name is derived plumbum, that is lead. So it is derived called as plumboporphyria. So mainly the neuropsychological symptoms can be observed. So it will affect on the nervous system. So in that way, it will affect on which organ, or you can mention the symptoms, which symptoms are observed. So in that way, you can explain the different types of porphyria. Porphyria can be asked as a short note separately for 5 marks, and other than that, along with long essay, that is heme synthesis, add a note on porphyria can be asked. So here, the part of heme synthesis, that is porphyria, we have covered. Now, the next one is breakdown of this hemoglobin, right? That is how heme is degraded in the body. All of you know that the lifespan of the organism is 60 to 120 days. After that, it gets lysis, means at that time breakdown of these RBCs takes place. So this heme breakdown takes place. How? So here you can see that after phagocytosis and lysis, hemoglobin is divided as globin and heme. Globin is protein part. Globin is protein part. So it will further break down into different amino acids, and those amino acids will enter in the amino acid pool. So where body's requirement of amino acid can be also fulfilled, right? So hemoglobin is bifurcated as globin and heme. This globin, through amino acid, it will enter the amino acid pool, while as this hemoglobin from heme, which is obtained from hemoglobin, further forms the bilirubin. So how bilirubin formation takes place? That is heme in presence of the enzyme heme oxygenase. In presence of the enzyme heme oxygenase, it will form biliverdin, which is green colored pigment. Yes, all of you know that it is a green colored pigment, biliverdin. So this is one of the bile pigment, right? Biliverdin is bile pigment, which is further broken down into bilirubin. All of you know that this is the important bile pigment present in human being. Convert the end product of this heme is to bilirubin, which is the bile pigment obtained from heme. So this reaction takes place in the macrophages. These reaction takes place in the macrophages. So this is NADPH dependent reaction. So NADPH, which is formed from HMP Shunt pathway, right? So the NADPH, which are required for various reactions, right? Such as cholesterol synthesis, steroid synthesis. Along with that, it is also necessary for heme synthesis, heme breakdown, and that is bilirubin synthesis. And this is heme oxygenase enzyme and the biliverdin reductase enzyme. Heme oxygenase and biliverdin reductase, these are the NADPH dependent reaction which are involved in synthesis of bilirubin from heme. Synthesis of bilirubin from heme. So thus bilirubin is formed in the body, right, in the macrophages, and then how it enters in the liver is when it gets conjugated. First, before conjugation, it forms the complex with the albumin so that it can be carried through the blood, right? In the blood, gets bounded with the albumin, and then through blood, it is carried to the liver. where this bilirubin gets conjugated and it will form diglucuronide, and then this first before that monoglucuronide and diglucuronide, and then it enters in the bile, right? So from him bilirubin is formed and then it can be excreted, either enters in the bile and again gets circulated and then excreted in the urine also. Then one part, the iron is the part of heme. This heme which comes out from the heme from the first reaction, that is heme oxygenase here, right? This iron will be again recycled. That means it can be again utilized to form the porphyrin molecule, right? If any disturbance either in the production of, that is heme production, bilirubin production, right, or in the uptake, right, or the enzymes which are involved in synthesis and degradation, or the transport mechanism. So these are the important cause for any type of disorder. So similarly, in hyperbilirubinemia, either the formation of the bilirubin or uptake of heme or enzymes involved in heme degradation, that is heme oxygen and oxygenase, heme oxygenase and biliverdin reductase enzyme, or in the transport, that is along with the albumin it is transported. So if disturbance in either of these mechanisms, it will lead to increased level of bilirubin, and that is the cause for the jaundice. That is the cause for the jaundice. Just I brief the jaundice because 2-hour tutorial already conducted on the jaundice, but as a part of heme degradation, that is formation of bilirubin and increased level of the bilirubin will lead to jaundice. So I'll brief before that normal bilirubin, as I told. So in the macrophages, what will happen? Bilirubin is formed. Then in the blood, along with the albumin, it is carried to the liver. In the liver, it gets conjugated with the glucuronic acid. This reaction you will study again in the detoxification reaction, right? Bilirubin gets conjugated with glucuronic acid. So glucuronic acid is one of the conjugating agent. How it is obtained? It is obtained in the uronic acid pathway, that is oxidation of glucose to glucuronic acid, right? So this glucuronic acid gets conjugated with the bilirubin so that it will form the soluble bilirubin. This unconjugated bilirubin is insoluble. When it gets conjugated, it will be the soluble one so that it can be easily excreted, right? As well as it will be converted into urobilin and stercobilin so that it can be excreted through the feces, right? So this is the normal metabolism, right? This stercobilin is colored one, so can due to that the brown color to the feces, right? And some of the stercobilin, it can be reabsorbed by the gut and again re-excreted by either liver or kidney. Kidney through urine forming urobilin, right? And liver detoxification mechanism. So how this urobilin and stercobilin are formed? Bilirubin by the bacterial intestinal bacterial enzymes, it will form urobilinogen. Urobilinogen spontaneously converted to urobilin, which is excreted in urine. The color to the urine is due to this. Then urobilinogen, it will form the stercobilin by the intestinal bacterial enzymes so that the stercobilin is excreted in feces. Due to stercobilin, the orange-brown color to the feces is due to the stercobilin, right? What happens in hemolytic jaundice? Excess production of bilirubin beyond the ability of the liver to conjugate it, right? So conjugation takes place in liver. Its capacity beyond that, when the unconjugated bilirubin, that is bilirubin is formed, and that time hemolysis takes place. So due to lysis of this, the jaundice is nothing but the yellowish discoloration of the sclera or the skin, right? So why it takes place? Due to the hemolysis of the RBC, right? So that's why it is also called as hemolytic jaundice. It is also called as prehepatic jaundice and hemolytic jaundice. So it will result in autoimmune disease, hemolytic diseases of the newborn, mainly Rh or ABO incompatibility, you might have seen. So that the baby, what we can say, infertility is many times this is the cause of the infertility. Then structurally abnormal RBCs are also formed, that is which we have observed in sickle cell disease. So thus the unconjugated bilirubin level increases more than 0.5 milligram per deciliter, right? This is the one of the cause. Then intrahepatic jaundice, impaired uptake, conjugation or secretion of bilirubin. These, when they are impaired, obviously it will lead to increased bilirubin both, and that is called as a hyperbilirubinemia. Hyperbilirubinemia. Then post-hepatic, and that is major cause of the damage to the liver. So many other enzymes are also altered because those enzymes are synthesized in the liver and their action takes place in the liver. That's why its level will be increased other than bilirubin, such as SGOT and SGPT, which you have seen, right? That its level will be also increased. Along with that, ALP also increases. And while as in post-hepatic jaundice, there is an obstruction, mainly obstruction in the biliary tree. That's why the plasma bilirubin is conjugated and other biliary metabolites such as bile acids, it will get accumulated. So increased level of bile acids in the blood, so that the bile acids are excreted in urine. Bile pigment level increases in the blood, and the bile acids which are excreted in the urine, it is characterized by pale colored stool, so absence of stercobilin in the feces, as well as urobilin, and dark urine is observed due to increased level of this conjugated bilirubin. What is neonatal? Mainly the unconjugated bilirubin, and due to immaturity of the enzymes involved in conjugation of the bilirubin, that's why the unconjugated bilirubin level will be high, right? It is a transient stage. It can be resolved within first days. So we can take it to the sunlight, and if the level is too high, we can give the phototherapy also. So mainly in the premature infants it is observed, and if bilirubin levels are just to be high, then phototherapy with UV light is used to convert it to a water soluble, that is conjugated to form more conjugated bilirubin, which is non-toxic and that can be further excreted. So other than jaundice, I have just briefed. Again, there what other levels and all I have not briefed, but I show you a table how you can differentiate these different types of jaundice. But other than jaundice, some other disorders which are congenital, those are Gilbert syndrome, Crigler-Najjar syndrome, that is again type 1 and type 2, Lucey-Driscoll syndrome, Dubin-Johnson syndrome, and Rotter's syndrome. These are the congenital defect due to the bilirubin metabolism. While as the jaundice, that is due to the acquired defects such as hemolytic jaundice, hepatic jaundice, obstructive jaundice, and the physiological jaundice of the newborn. That is neonatal jaundice. Then again, these congenital disorder, it can be bifurcated due to unconjugated bilirubin or due to conjugated bilirubin. If the conjugated bilirubin level increases, those will be observed in Dubin-Johnson syndrome and Rotor syndrome. While as the conjugated bilirubin is more, it is the cause in observed in Crigler-Najjar syndrome and Lucey-Driscoll syndrome, Gilbert's syndrome. So in short, The heme synthesis takes place mainly in liver and bone marrow. So matured red blood cells have no mitochondria, so it cannot synthesize heme. The substrate required for heme synthesis is succinyl-CoA, glycine, and iron. First and last three reaction takes place in mitochondria, and the in-between stage occurs in the cytoplasm. So here you can see, right, the brief metabolism. Then next, the porphyria, different types of porphyria, which enzyme is defective, major signs and symptoms, or the organ. Here also you can mention. In earlier slide, I have mentioned mainly the organs, skin and liver and all. And as here I have mentioned it as major sign and symptom. You can use any one table, both are correct. And then the bilirubin metabolism overall, how it takes place, right? So bilirubin, how it is conjugated so that it can be excreted through urine as well as through feces. So unconjugated bilirubin, conjugation takes place in liver, then it enters through the blood to the kidney, then in kidney, urobilinogen and urobilin, which is excreted in urine, while as in intestine by the bacterial enzymes, it is converted into stercobilin so that it can be excreted in the feces. So this is the brief summary. So again, how it can be, as I told, jaundice differential diagnosis. So either conjugated bilirubin is normal or increased. If the unconjugated bilirubin or total bilirubin is increased or normal, depending upon that, the hemolytic, hepatic, and obstructive jaundice. Other than that, the other liver parameters, as I told, alkaline phosphatase level, as well as the urine bilinogens and urine bile salts, whether they are present or absent or they are increased. Depending upon that, you can differentiate these different types of jaundice, which is already covered in the tutorial. And in this way, you can prepare the table. So here you can see in the neonates and in the adults, yellowish discoloration, right? Skin. And with this you can identify, and this is the phototherapy unit which can be given to the neonates, and so that in 10 to 15 days, which is the transient period, and the infant gets recovered. So this is all about the hemoglobin metabolism, which is completed now. The part of it is already covered in previous classes, that is heme synthesis and the jaundice in tutorial, right? So, and today we have covered about the major part, that is porphyria, and the in short brief about heme breakdown and the jaundice. Clear? So here we have completed the hemoglobin chapter. Any queries, students? Now you can unmute and you can ask if any query is there. Students, any query?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Is it clear? Okay, you prepare these tables and accordingly you can remember it all the time. Jaundice you should not forget at all, because many times when you go to the practice, medicine people only, or as a physician, the first part diagnosis takes place there only, and with along with the clinical signs and symptoms, which are the investigations that should be carried out, how you can differentiate. Alcoholic, due to that the liver will be damaged, and that time whether the parameters are increased. So in that way you can differentiate it properly, right? So which is again the important part, and also the porphyria, which is as per the examination part, because the cases are rare, so you will not see the porphyria cases in practice, but as an exam part. But while at jaundice, routine part as a practical aspect in your practice, which is very much important. According to that, both ways, this hemoglobin metabolism chapter is important. So you go through that you prepare small tables so that you can elaborate and write it in the examination. Still any doubt, you can ask me. Clear? Okay, we'll conclude here. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.